so loud, please.
You heard that?
Yeah.
That was, yeah, I'm shocked that you heard that. Normally my filter takes out a lot, and that person
I'm surprised I heard that. Yeah.
is far away.
Yeah.
All right, so we are live. I can see us on YouTube and we're sharing. So welcome back to Silicon Scoop, everyone. We have a lot to talk about this week. And to kick it off, Apple is having an AI crisis. Let's talk about what's going on with Apple and how they lag behind so far.
Well, I'm not surprised with Apple. Their Siri has been absolute crap since they first launched it, and I don't think they really worked on it. I don't know why people tout it. Like the second you put it up to anything else, it's even back then. You would ask it a simple question, and all it would do is give you. It was an easy way to get Google search results, essentially, right? So apparently there was this article by Bloomberg that came out and really saying Apple needs to essentially shit or get off the pot, which makes a lot of sense. But it's weird because they put in significant investments in AI research, talent acquisitions, like a whole bunch of stuff, but yet they can't match anything close to anything even to like the very first models that came out, I would say. And so like they're touting this Apple Intelligence, but like what even is Apple Intelligence? So I don't have iOS, so I think they've now with our latest upgrade on our MacBooks, there's Apple Intelligence, but I don't care to use it. I feel like it's just going to be like another Siri, but they're facing challenges in scaling AI across their product lines while maintaining their focus on privacy. I think that's one of the biggest issues, which is good in a way. Unlike Google, which can leverage vast amounts of user data, Apple must rely on more limited data sets, right? So what are your thoughts on this whole debacle? I know you're more of a Apple ecosystem user.
Yeah, and Apple AI has been, non-existent. Siri, we talked about it all the time where I barely use it for anything, just because it fails more often than it delivers what I want. And so it's just easier to do other things. So we are now using voice AI bots on our phones now instead of Siri. I was just trying Grok 3 app out this morning, but I slipped it into unhinged mode and I said, yeah, this is unusable. So I don't know if you've tried it, but it's not safe for work. Lots of swear words, lots of sex stuff, lots of, yeah, so just be aware when you ask it a question, it's coming back hard. And that's unhinged mode on Grok. With the Grok 3, I haven't tried the other modes yet. I thought
is that also called Elon mode or?
Probably there's probably a voice that was defaulted to a lady talking, but it was really, what do you ask me, you MFer, blah 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 blah, like literally just comes right at you, and so you've got to be prepared for that. Other than that, everyone's using these AI agents more than they're using the onboard voice assistants. And because they're just better. And I agree with you 100% that when Siri was better before Apple bought it. And once Apple bought it, it took a major downgrade. And, Siri AI launched in 2011 and it, was groundbreaking. We could talk to our phone. It could do some stuff. We were all really happy with it. And now, things have just gone. Like they've lost the lead. And I agree with you that there's a number of issues, but I believe the 100% the biggest issue is everyone else have hordes of data to train on, and Apple refuses to do a lot of that. And two, they focus on device. You need all the translation, all the AI stuff needs to take place on device, so you're not handing it off to the cloud. And so that compute power has been a major limitation to Apple's AI And that's why we're seeing with M4 and whatnot, these neural network chips for AI and the new phones and stuff, that are capable of Apple intelligence, because they have these extra chips that are capable of the on processing that Apple's doing versus the cloud processing that everyone else is doing. So those two things are the major limiters for them to be jumping ahead. Plus, there's some structural issues inside the company. They're implementing AI in different ways. It's not going across the board. So they got some issues with it, and they're falling behind. Unless they decide to take the road that other people have taken and find some way to use whatever data is out there to train their AI, it's just not going to work for them. Like, we've seen Grok jump ahead and Google jump ahead, and that's because they've got millions and millions of systems out there that they can pull the information from and train their AI on. Like, Google can use YouTube to the cows come home because they own it. They can, never mind all the emails going back and forth, and YouTube, Google searches, and everyone interaction with the Chrome browser, all the stuff data they can use. And Apple was like, yeah, we don't want to use that data. So what are they going to do?
Well, I think what they were looking to do originally was bring on another LLM. Like, if they're not willing to compromise, which is great, like, you can't fault them for not wanting to compromise their policies, internal policies, when it comes to privacy. I love that. And the question is do they really need to have an AI based on their current ecosystem and all the other options available right now, right? Do they really need to? Because once, like, you have these people who are Apple fanboys for life, and you've got these people who are within the Apple ecosystem forever. And maybe that's why they're not so quick to jump to get to this and to solve their problem. What I was reading is that they are touting a lot more advanced features in their M7 MacBook Air and iPad Air, or their M7 chip itself, which I think would be 2 years away.
Yeah, so, I think so.
What do you think? Do you think Apple needs to solve this problem quickly, or what do you think?
It's been rolling out in stages, and it's just not good. And so what Apple has integrated, they've integrated ChatGPT, they've integrated, I think, Google Gemini as well, and I've seen they're integrating the latest Alibaba model for China.
Yeah.
So they are implementing third parties, which is great, but I think this is a brave new world that if you don't dominate or lead in the AI space in tech, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that is a position that Apple doesn't want to be in.
No, but are people really getting Apple devices because of their AI capabilities, or are they getting Apple devices just because it's an Apple device?
Well, let me put it to you a different way. Apple people are Apple people, and that's fine. And there are tech people who will jump back and forth because they like this platform and they like that platform. And once you're locked in, you're kind of locked in. If you're not one of those people, you'll jump back and forth, and then you might not be even in this category, right? Because if you're not locked in by apps, you're not necessarily a heavy user, and you might not be our target market. But you talk about this kind of functionality. We're going into a brave new world. Search is becoming AI. We're asking AI instead of searching the internet.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about protein and medicine and the breakthroughs and some of the stuff coming up, it's all due to AI and being able to process, hundreds of thousands or millions of parameters that humans just couldn't do before, and come up with this competition. So come up with this new solution. So I'm not saying that they need to have the best consumer facing AI. I mean, they need to have a strong AI because the competition is doing that. What does the consumer want? We're analyzing that millions and millions of times to come up with our best product, come up with the best marketing, come up with all the best stuff. If you don't have your own tools to do that in the future at this level, you're going to be in trouble. So that's what I'm saying.
But the thing is people can download all of these chatbots and use them as apps, right?
Yes.
So, like, is it really gonna harm them if they don't get something that's on par with OpenAI or Claude or?
Well, I think it will for a number of reasons,
Okay.
but I think it'll be slow because I think as we move, we've seen it. Opera's come out with a new AI browser, though I went through the thing and it doesn't look like we can grab it just yet on their public site where AI can control these things.
Yeah.
It's harder to control this stuff in Mac. So this stuff needs to start being built in at level to say, okay, how does AI interact with my apps and do things? It's not enough anymore to be able to chat with it. That is 2 years ago. I can chat with my stuff and it can give me some responses. Now it's all about automation. I want to tell you to say, hey, take that data that just came in from that email and the 3 emails before and that Google spreadsheet and create this and with a pivot
Yeah.
table and go do it.
Yeah.
And so everyone else is getting to that point. By the end of this year, they'll all have that built into their system. So if Apple can't do that, they're going to find themselves way behind. So yeah, I think it's a problem. You're laughing, but do you
No,
not
I
think that?
laugh because do you know of an app called If This Then That?
Of course.
Well, then there's your automation that you can integrate on your Apple device.
Yeah, but let's face it, it's not okay anymore. Like we can do If This and That, we can do Zapier, we can do N8N and do some amazing things.
Yeah.
No problem. But that doesn't the interfaces, the APIs, the control stuff isn't there. So you have to now use browser interfaces and clunky stuff versus actually driving it home. And that's why it needs to be built in. And Apple is famous for not allowing developers access to those types of things, never mind AI.
True.
So
Yeah.
that's why they need to start getting ahead. I'm sure you can do If This Then That, but you want my AI and my system to logically work with my data and the things that I'm working on, not have to rely on some third-party trigger that doesn't understand what I want really. That is great. I build automations all the time and I love them. But the future of AI is an AI that really knows me, these AI agents that understand when I say send a proposal or respond to John or do this, what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a while to get there, but that happens on the device with that processing, with that agent that knows you. I think we're going to be they're going to be way behind because relationships are now developing with these AI tools. We're worried about it. Are you going to have AI dates and this and that and the other thing? People are falling in love, whatever, because we're communicating with them all the time, and that's going to become more and more and more prevalent. So I think yes, if they fall behind, Apple's not going to be your companion anymore.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe they could be working on something. I can't believe I'm actually on the side of Apple on this one for once. Not really on the side of Apple, but how Google was super far behind in the AI race, and then they released Gemini 2.0, and boom, they were on top. And then DeepSeek released this out of nowhere.
Yep.
Maybe Apple will do the same thing. Who knows?
That's what I'm saying is they leapfrog each other. So if they have a good data source and they're training on the back end, according to research, Apple's got $5 billion in annual investment specifically in artificial intelligence capabilities. I know they're working on a bunch of machine learning stuff. As research at Primate AI Research bluntly put, 2024 is Apple's last chance to lead AI. So I think it's 2025, but that's okay. And we talked about the Bloomberg article. So it's a little Apple prioritize on device for data protection and limiting cloud storage and stuff, which is a problem. So they'll either have to, which is a huge difference, right? Because these other companies have these multi-gigawatt data centers that are processing. Apple's doing it on your phone. So we'll have to see. Like the Apple intelligence capable devices are just starting to come out now. So will it be interesting to see if they do make that leap forward as the devices start to come on the market?
Yeah.
So I'd love to know what you think out there. Let us know. Do you think Apple AI is rotten to the core and it's going to die on the tree? Or do you think they have a chance to keep in the marketplace? Or do you think they're going to partner with some other company? We'd love to hear your feedback and comments below. All right.
That was a great discussion.
Thanks. I hope this comes over, but we'll get started. And if I don't see it switch over, then I'll play the video.
Well, just take your time.
No, it switched over. It's great.
Okay.
I just have this extra thing now because of StreamYard issues. So Alphabet, I guess the head parent company of Google, I just want to make sure I describe that properly, has this new Taara chip out. And is this the future of light beam technology and point-to-point interfaces? It looks pretty impressive. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so this is cool. So I dove deep into this. So it's this chip that uses light beam to deliver high-speed internet connectivity. Now, before we dive into the details, just some challenges with this. Okay, so there's weather interference, and it requires line of sight in order to work. Okay, so it's not some fandangled brand new technology, but it does use some cool technology. So the technology that it uses is called FSOC, which is free space optical communication. So what it does is it transmits data through light signals rather than traditional fiber optic cables or wireless networks. So even though fiber optic you're transmitting data through light signals, this is just not using that medium, it's using air. So it's designed to provide reliable, fast internet in areas where there's infrastructure lagging. It's already actually been deployed in several regions, including Kenya and India, where it's connected these communities to the internet. So the way it does it, it can bypass obstacles like mountains or rivers, which make it ideal for hard-to-reach areas. And the way it does it is it uses advanced photo detectors and beamforming algorithms to ensure stable and precise light transmission. The fastest it can exceed is comparable to fiber optic connections, and it can often exceed 20 gigabits per second. What are your thoughts on this, Craig? Like, do you see this as a technology that could be deployed more widely?
Well, I think this is amazing technology because this is something that can be deployed in minutes. Like if you're a military and you drop a tower, you drop one of these, it starts connecting, and you are direct point-to-point secure communicating with whatever that other thing is on that other side of the light beam. So in that scenario, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about being able to deploy where you can't deploy. You were talking about where they are, like in the Congo River, and what's going on in India, where they really can't get at these things, where the cities are separated by just 4.8 kilometers of water, but connecting them with fiber would require routing cables of about 400 kilometers on challenging terrain. You know, you're talking about a lot of expense, and you can jump that for this. Okay, so that excitement aside, I think they're overblowing the technology. You say, oh, we have achieved 20 gigs per second, and then in the same kind of breath, they say, and distance exceeding 20 kilometers, but not at the same time. Okay, so let's think about that for a bit. They don't come right out and say it, but as you do, say, hey, in the lab, we've reached speeds of 10 gigabits at 1 kilometer. Great. So where's your 20 gigabits at 20 kilometers? Okay, so in the lab, they've reached 20 gigabit speeds, but at a smaller distance. These things are smaller, inexpensive compared to some of the other technology out right now. So this is a huge leap forward. They have 99% uptime in some implementations comparing to fiber reliability. They're better at rain and foggy conditions, or when something gets in the way, they can figure that out and keep going. They're much better at doing all that, which is amazing.
Yeah, I like this. This is an interesting technology. There's other companies out there like Facebook's Taara, which is similar, but it uses millimeter wave technology for wireless connectivity, which is like cellular. So the FSOC could potentially offer higher reliability and lower latency, which is great, which is what is needed as the demand for high-speed internet becomes greater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some like with those challenges, there are what I did find was there are researchers that are exploring hybrid systems that will combine FSOC with other wireless technologies to enhance reliability. So might not be as fast all the time, but it will be always up, which is I think more important than getting those speeds for now.
Yeah, and so they've got some persistent challenges that we talked about. The environmental factors, heavy rain can scatter the light beams, dense fog temporarily reduce transmission distances. Regulatory considerations, different countries have different regulations regarding wireless transmission technologies and spectrums that can be used, and competition. So this is great, but low Earth orbit satellite internet providers like Starlink are providing this stuff to similar markets now. So it's a question of which technology is best for these kinds of things and competitive technologies. And remember, we're talking about point-to-point systems where these transmitters are literally transmitting light beams 10 plus kilometers across to each other. Now, most implementations seem to be doing like 1 kilometer apart or so and then passing that on.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what they can do. It's just a question of, okay, great, but we could throw a couple of Starlinks out there and be done with it. But I think those are different use cases.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, secure point-to-point light communication is secure point-to-point light communication versus, hey, I'm going to use a satellite, go up and use Elon Musk's system, and my system's transmitted across this system that can be intercepted, deployed, do whatever. And I don't care about me. I'm talking about military, strategic, corporate systems. If you're downtown, instead of running a fiber cable between offices, it could cost, you can set up one of these if you have point to point on top of roofs and get a really strong connection. So I like this technology. I like where it's going, but I think it's actually somewhat limited to where our future is going, as it'll be the regular market will be overtaken by low orbit satellite services.
Yeah, maybe. But for all you flat earthers out there, you'll probably love this the most. Just for you think that the point to point works great. Good morning, Flowgrammer.
So would love to hear what you think. Is this the future of internet, this point to point light communication that can travel over 20 kilometers? Or is this just a niche solution that's going to fade away and only be used in military construction or very specific scenarios? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Oh, yeah. So we've heard a lot about asteroid mining in the ether for the last several years. We see the Armageddon movie and all that kind of stuff where it wasn't really asteroid mining, but that's what comes to mind when you hear about this thing. So now we actually have a mission. AstroForge's Odin asteroid mining mission is planning to target this asteroid, which I believe is something 2022, asteroid 2022 OB5. And they're going to go out and they're going to mine it and for resources. What do you think? What do you think about this, John?
Yeah, so this is cool. I like that their approach to this. So they're on the cusp of launching their mission. It marks a significant step, realizing tons of these companies that want to do it. Now I know there's been mining sampling asteroid sampling done by things, but this is so they're looking to unlock or getting on top of these vast resources from space, which are precious metals, water, hydrogen-3, different things like that, which we use in our electronics. The cool thing about this is this mission, the prospector, it's going to use advanced spectroscopy to identify and map the composition of asteroids instead of boring in and drilling and sampling, which reduces risk and costs associated with the traditional method. So, yeah, like you said, the asteroid mining industry, there's billions and trillions of dollars in value in these asteroids. But the biggest challenge, and it was cool. There's this show called For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus, which they were looking. They kind of showed the challenges of mining asteroids and getting to Mars and a whole bunch of different things. But that's what comes to mind for me. But there's tons of value there as of right now for these asteroids. So it does make sense that we have these companies who are kind of racing to get to this.
And AstroForge's journey has learned, they've learned a lot from its earlier attempt, which was the Broker 1 mission, which failed to deployment issues. So they feature some new features, included radiation hardened components for deep space resilience, autonomous navigation for accurate asteroid approach, and redundant communication systems to maintain contact at vast distances. So proponents argue that asteroids, like you said, may contain trillions in valuable metals. They could help alleviate supply issues for modern technology, and reducing terrestrial mining would lessen environmental damage here on Earth, right? So skeptics counter asteroid classifications could be misleading, raising concerns. Valuable metals concentrations are uncertain without direct sampling, and high initial costs may delay or prevent returns on investment. But, the U.S. Space Launch Competitive Acts of 2015 declared the right to own materials mined from celestial bodies, yet lacks international agreement. But, the rules are there. So there's some ambiguity under the 1967 Outer Space Treaty regarding resource rights and lack of international agreements to organize claims. So I don't know what happened once people start mining it, whether other people are going to show up. But AstroForge plans on using SpaceX launch services. They deploy via Intuitive Machines lunar lander and collaborations with NASA for data sharing and insights.
Yeah, this is cool. And yeah, obviously the US is being a bully and just trying to say that like they're just moving forward without taking the necessary steps to get the international agreements in place. And so we'll have to see what comes of that and what challenges and how they overcome that. But this is really cool.
Yeah, so they're hoping to land in 2025, analyze its surface composition, test core processing technologies, and collect data for future large-scale mining efforts. So this phase plan mirrors NASA's Psyche mission and highlights a growing trend towards public and private collaboration in space exploration. So this looks exciting.
Yeah.
The estimates suggesting multi-trillion-dollar industry could emerge. That this looks like it's going to be the new gold rush.
Yeah, this is cool.
I'm really excited to see what happens, and not only finding rare minerals that we have here, but finding new things that don't exist and what may come with using them. So let us know what you think. Are we going to find some new cool stuff? Is this going to be the gold rush, or is this going to fall flat in its face because space is hard and this is not going to work at all? Let us know what you think. Well. New quantum chips seem to be coming out almost every week. This week, we're talking about the AWS quantum computing Ocelot chip, which includes the Schrodinger in a chip technology we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but it uses qubits. So we'll have to see how they do this compared to Microsoft's chip. So again, I'm going to measure everything against Microsoft's chip, but let's move forward with this one. So the Ocelot chip is a quantum processor that was designed to accelerate the development of practical quantum applications by AWS. It provides cloud-based access to quantum computing resources. So it represents, obviously, AWS's commitment to developing scalable, fault-tolerant quantum systems, but it does leverage superconducting qubits. Although it is a well-established approach in quantum computing, And apparently it incorporates some innovative error correcting techniques to improve reliability and coherence times. So they're looking to use this to bridge the gap between noisy intermediate scale quantum, or NISQ, devices and fully fault tolerant quantum systems. So I'm curious to see the fault tolerance that they've the innovative error correction techniques that they've implemented into this. But the use of the superconducting qubits are among the most mature qubit technologies, so they're using the best as far as qubit goes. But I don't know. Do you think that this is a better approach than what Microsoft has done, or is this just the mainstream approach that everyone's doing, Craig?
Well, we'll have to see. Like, this has 5 data qubits and 4 error correction qubits. So it's the way it's designed. So 9 qubits overall, and I guess that the way it flows is the errors go down a certain route to test, and they handle those errors with 90% more efficient than historically. So it looks great.
Yeah.
The Microsoft chip has I can't remember, but my chart here says 1 to 6 experimental qubits. So, and it was designed for low error rates as well. But I've started to see some things coming out about their topological qubit types that say, yeah, that's not true. So I'm trying to wait to. So I haven't read all those things, but this came out from a couple of scientific people that I trust, so I have to go and look and watch or read and digest it to see how that's going. But I love where this is going. They have a distant 5 repetition code that creates logical qubits, 9 physical qubits, 5 data qubits, and 4 ancillary qubits for logical error correction. They use bonded silicon microchips with specialized circuitry and a noise to bias gates that channel errors into predictable patterns. So it'd be interesting to see when they start comparing. Like, I've got a chart that I'm running that I'm building as these come out. And it's very interesting to start comparing them to, because they're all over the map on whether using superconducting, whether using trapped iron, whether they're using silicon spin cubics, bunch of different types of topological like Microsoft is using. And how they're connecting, right? Whether they're connecting on a 2D array or a heavy lattice or whatnot. So they're all using different types of technologies, and they all have different error rates.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of things like IBM's Eagle, which has like 127 qubits. Intel's bragging about 12 qubit things. Aspen M's got 80 qubits. Ion Harmony's got 32. So it's hard. It sounds all great, but once you start putting it together, what's the most efficient? Which one of these actually work inside the quantum computing world?
Yeah, it's great to see that AWS is coming out with their own, because they are the largest cloud-based or cloud computing platform. But it'll be interesting to see how this chip stacks up to everyone else's. And all these companies are making claims that are essentially pretty much, I wouldn't say unproven, but haven't been really tested yet. So it's going to be interesting to see once these get some real tests behind them and some real data, that who comes out on top.
Absolutely. So these say that the chip reduces error correction resources needed by 10 times compared to conventional methods. It's like needing only one inspection point instead of 10 in a production line while maintaining the quality. So this resource efficiency translates directly into cost savings, with the Ocelot's approach potentially reducing quantum computing costs to just 1/5 the current approaches. This makes quantum computing more economically viable for more commercial applications. So every one of these seems to be doing approaches. They seem to be reducing cost and energy consumption. And, we're talking about the stuff that was just released in the last couple of months that we know about. I'm amazed at how fast this world is going. Yeah. And I'm excited to see where we're going to start seeing some amazing benefits, because once this starts working, we're going to start really seeing this pharmaceutical development and drug discovery, material sciences, financial risk modeling, supply chain optimization, climate modeling, and of course, breaking Bitcoin.
Yeah. But so you and I cover a lot of quantum stuff, and we've been doing this for almost a year and a half now. And I have to say, I'm shocked in the last few months at how rapidly quantum technology has evolved. There has to have been something that we missed. No?
I don't think it's something that we missed. I think what's happened is there was a huge investment from a VC funding point of view a few years back, and we're just starting to see the returns on investment of these things as it starts to accelerate. But I also think that AI is being used to help advance these things, where they're able to design these chips faster and better and use AI to find out where the problems are and figure out how to interface things. So I think the design team, the builders and whatnot, are faster and better at than they ever were.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this quantum computing roadmap? Are you watching these chips and comparing them? For example, the Ocelot versus the Majorana versus the Willow from Google versus the Eagle from IBM versus the Aspen M versus the Harmony versus the H1. Which one do you think is going to succeed, or do you think there's room in this world for all of them? And as each uses different technologies and advances it forward, they're all going to leverage those technologies and building their next version of the chip to make things faster and better. It just looks like an amazing world. I want to know when we're going to see these, where we're going to actually get access to them. But I'd love to know what you think. Let us know in the show notes. You think quantum computing is going to be reality in the next couple of years, and whether universities and other institutions are going to have access to it, or whether we're going to start seeing it at a consumer level much quicker than that. We'd love to hear that. Mm-hmm. Well, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, this one's cool.
So imagine a world where the cracks in the asphalt in front of your house seal themselves up automatically within 60 minutes of forming. Well, that might be a reality with a self-healing asphalt with plant spores and AI. Tell us what's going on here, John.
Yeah, this is cool. So researchers have developed a form of self-healing asphalt that incorporates, like you said, plant spores to prevent potholes from forming. So the material leverages natural properties of plant roots to repair cracks in the asphalt before they become significant. So how it works is the spores, typically from plants like alfalfa or clover, are mixed into the asphalt mixture. And then when water enters the cracks in the asphalt, the spores germinate, the roots grow, filling the gaps and strengthening the material. I was always taught that having roots within your infrastructure makes things weaker. So this is interesting. Like when you see those vines growing on the sides of houses, those are all into, like, they're getting into the cracks and stuff. So I'm curious to know how this helps as opposed to hinders. Yeah, really interesting. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if I would consider this roots. Maybe I didn't read that here, but
spores. Yeah,
they're spores. So, it's a 4-step process. So what they do is they mix these spores that are filled with this oil into the asphalt when they deploy it, right? And so the self-healing system is triggered by this 4-step sequence where the crack formation or normal stress creates a microscopic cracks in the asphalt surface. That cracking causes spores to rupture, breaking the embedded plant spores, and the oil now leaks out and flows into the damaged area. This softens the bitumen, and the bitumen reattaches, closing the the crack. And in laboratory tests, they confirm that the resolution of micro cracks within just 60 minutes, a dramatic improvement over traditional repair timelines that can take days or weeks.
Yeah, this is cool because there are other self-healing materials, but they rely on chemical or mechanical mechanisms. So this method harnesses the natural growth of, and this is where I got it from. It harnesses the natural growth of plant roots to restore the integrity of the asphalt. So I don't know where I got that from. That's where I got it from, but
no,
yeah.
I at no time did I think roots were growing through the asphalt. That's all. I think maybe they get the spores from the roots and put the spores in.
Yeah. I'd love to see like what it looks like. So we'll have to find that and maybe do a follow-up on that. But yeah, no, this is cool. I love it. I think that we need some sort of advancement, especially up here in Canada, with the amount of cracks and things forming in our asphalt because of the freezing, the thawing, the freezing, the thawing, everything like that. So this is really interesting.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a lot of benefits. Like there was an initial increase in cost when deploying the asphalt, but it minimized maintenance interventions over a pavement long period of time, extends the useful life of road surfaces potentially by up to 30% longer, reducing labor costs of repair crews, lower equipment and material expenses for patching and resurfacing, decreasing traffic management costs during maintenance, and environmental, lower carbon footprint for reducing asphalt production, decrease traffic-related emissions from fewer repair-related congestions, minimize the waste generation throughout the pavement cycle, reduce noise pollution from smoother, well-maintained roads, better stormwater management due to fewer surface irregularities. So there's a lot of potential benefits on this. I am just not like with anything, they don't normally test this stuff in our weather. Like we just went through this bitter cold, and in the summer we're going to hit 35 degrees, I'm sure. And so stuff has to handle both of those. And I'm not sure how something like this would work, but I just haven't seen the temperature extremes that it handles. But it says it repairs itself better in ideal conditions. So it might crack over the winter, and as things warm up, it starts to repair itself. So you wouldn't necessarily see that in 60 minutes. You just might see it over a longer period of time.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this scales, if this is deployable in climates like ours, or if there's specific climates that can only work in. So
yeah, and this apparently slashes carbon related to asphalt deployment. So it's great. Like when you go up here, the UK has spent and just because I didn't have the money for Canada, 143.5 million on pothole repairs alone.
wow.
So you start to think about the benefits of something like this, and how potholes are pretty big. Like these aren't going to, like, how does that happen? Is that a crack that happens over time, or is that a chunk of damage, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a crack that happens over time, there's some self-healing involved there. But they always overstate how great this thing is going to be. But I'm excited that we're talking about better, longer lasting roads, better for the environment. This whole stuff is growed, so it's a recyclable technology. And I'm excited to use all of that. I'm just not thinking this is going to change everything.
No. Might be good for driveways and for parking lots, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I could definitely see this because one, for people who want their driveway done, you don't necessarily have to get it sealed as often, or if you get it sealed, you get it sealed, especially with this stuff that fixes the stuff. So you get it sealed, every few years and whatnot. And it's environmentally friendly and whatnot. So you'll be really happy about all those things. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening at the driveway level. So we'd love to know what you think. Are you going to get something like this put in your driveway and let the Spores take care of those menacing cracks? Or are you going to leave that to the city and see if they do it? Or is this just another pie in the sky dream that's never really going to hit the roads here in Canada? Let us know what you think. Okay, so this is really exciting. Hold on to your hats. This new immune system discovery of proteasomes and their dual role in cellular defense will blow your mind as it did scientists. So basically, these proteasomes who handle waste when the body's attacked turn those wastes into weapons that attack those things that attack the body. It's a amazing thought process, and I'd love to see a movie based on this. John, tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, this one's interesting. So they made a discovery identifying an unknown component of the human immune system. And like you said, it plays a crucial role in the body's defense against infections. It was found to be a type of lymphoid tissue located in the lungs. And it's cool. The way that they discovered this, it was made possible through advanced imaging techniques and detailed studies of lung tissue samples. So it's believed to be involved in the early stages of immune responses, particularly in the context of respiratory infections, which is really interesting. So it acts as a site where immune cells can gather and coordinate their actions to fight off pathogens. So apparently, this finding has significant implications for our understanding of how the immune system functions, especially relating to diseases like COVID-19. So it opens up new avenues for research into treatments for respiratory infections, autoimmune diseases, etc. And by understanding how this new component of the immune system works, scientists might be able to develop more targeted therapies that enhance immune responses. So the way that to talk about more about the advanced imaging techniques, so they used single-cell RNA sequencing and high-resolution microscopy. So these tools allowed the researchers to map the immune cells in the lungs tissue with this ridiculous detail, which is really, really cool. What do you think?
Well, I mean, this is amazing. You know, when you look at the high level, I look at it at this point, it's like having a Jason Statham as your body's janitor. And when things come in to attack it, it turns everything into a weapon. So I love the whole concept where during bacterial infection, the proteasome shifts into defense mode. Instead of simply recycling proteins, it transforms them into microbial peptides, natural compounds that can punch holes into bacterial membranes and disrupt their function. This adaptive response represents a previous unknown branch of our immune system. The proteasome essentially converts ordinary cell proteins into powerful weapons when danger threatens, showing remarkable versatility in cellular defense. So understanding this and understanding the type of things that it makes will now give scientists and medical providers, whatever, new tools to attack these things, attack the superbugs, or work on our resistance to all these things, which is amazing.
Yeah. So this is really cool. As far as new discoveries, it's crazy how we're discovering new things in our body still. Like, especially, we know the brain is still to be discovered, but something new in the lungs, which is interesting, right?
Absolutely. Like, the researchers have identified over 270,000 potential antimicrobial peptides now hidden within human proteins. This vast reservoir represents an untapped medicine cabinet within our own cells. In laboratory tests, these peptides demonstrate potency comparable to conventional antibiotics, particularly against pneumonia-causing bacteria, and in models of sepsis. The natural antibiotic production system has likely been protecting humans for millennia, quietly operating alongside our more well-known immune response systems.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what develops from this, especially as it relates to COVID. Especially hearing that there's some new strand or something that's come out that could be even more infectious. So I'm sure we're not going to get to a point anytime soon where they come up with a solution, but I'm glad that we're on the right path.
Yeah, and these results hold up under different conditions, whether laboratory cultures, isolated proteasome exposed to bacterial proteins, mouse models, and genetic analytic of the peptide sequences. So, they haven't really fully tested it in humans and stuff, but it looks very promising.
Yeah.
This represents one of those rare paradigm shifts in how we understand immunity. The proteasome has been studied for decades, yet this crucial function remained hidden until now, according to Dr. Edwards. So developing synthetic versions of most potent peptides in the future looks like, we got a whole new medicine cabinet to fight stuff, creating drugs that enhance the proteasome's antimicrobial function, exploring combination of therapy with existing antibiotics, and investigating effectiveness against viral and fungal infections. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but there's some roadblocks ahead, right? Extensive testing, solving delivery challenges to reach infection areas, optimize peptide stability in the bloodstream, and gaining regulatory approval through clinical trials.
Yeah.
But, this opens up a whole new potential for fighting a whole bunch of diseases and things we just didn't really think about that we could before. So I'm really interested in seeing what new treatments and potential cures or whatever that we will be able to utilize with this. And the surprising secret life could ultimately help this proteasome, could ultimately help save countless lives threatened by drug-resistant infections resistant to our current drugs.
Yeah.
So this opens up a whole new new world in medication and medicine, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah, me too. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this. So we'll have to follow this.
So, what do you got going on, John?
Oh, just working with clients, getting them government funding, and I don't know when this is coming out, so we'll probably have a startup drinks coming up. I don't know which one, but yeah. What do you have?
We'll have the startup drinks coming up in April, because this will come out, early April. Okay. Check out flowgrammer.ca if you want to automate parts of your business and take those tedious tasks that are repetitive out of your hair so you can focus on the things that really matter and take your business to the next level. Go to flowgrammer.ca. If you want to take your business to the next level and you're stuck and you need some coaching help, check out startupcoach.ca and book a discovery call, and we'll have a little chat about where you are and where we're going. But you help people get non-dilutive funding for their startup. How does that work, John?
Absolutely. Yeah. Come if you have any questions about your business, you have some revenue, you have some employees, even if you're really early stage, we can have a quick chat, but reach out to me on LinkedIn, John Irwin. Easy to find apparently. So just reach out and we can set up a time.
And thanks everyone for listening. Don't forget to give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks everyone.